How's it going, guys? Pepper Beef 2 Spicer. Hope you guys doing alright. So, at the time of EVO 2018's top 3, I was actually on my way somewhere, so I couldn't really watch anymore. But then, about an hour after I was doing whatever I was doing, I got like a billion notifications telling me that he's fucking back. Like, there's no way to say two things about it. It's my guy. It's Lei Wulong. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna get a few things out of the way. One, why is this so important to me? Well, if you started watching me in Tekken 7, you may not know that actually Lei Wulong was actually my premier main character for Tekken Tag Tournament 2, which is when I first started playing Tekken seriously. I played Martial Law and Lei, but I always considered Lei to be the stronger of my two characters and my personal favorite fighting game character of all time. I am a pretty big Bruce Lee fan, a bigger one than I am a Jackie Chan fan, but I am also a pretty big Jackie Chan fan, and Lei is probably the most fun character in all fighting games that I've ever played, and there is really no one who fights anywhere as close as he does. So the first things we're going to get out of the way is we're going to talk about some of his changes, and then we're going to talk about what he is like and what kind of character, and if you'd be interested in playing him. So let's get right into it without any intro. So first of all, we've got his Phoenix Illusion stance, which is back. If you are not familiar with Lei, you may not understand what some of these changes are, but if you aren't, then please skip ahead and we'll start talking about Lei in a second. But anyways, his Phoenix Illusion stance is back, and his Phoenix Illusion 2 seems to be a power crush, and maybe on counter hit, it looks like a counter hit instant screw launcher. I'm not sure if it's going to do that on natural hit. I assume it only would do this on counter hit, but who knows. And the animation, he still has down forward 2, and then his forward neutral 4-1, forward going to Tiger, and he has a new Tiger move, which looks like a Tiger, I would say a Tiger 2-1 or so, which may replace his old Tiger 2, which was kind of one of the moves from Tiger that you really didn't use so much. And it looks like maybe a high-mid or a mid-high instant screw, or rather screw string. I would imagine this might screw on natural hit as well. And he still has his reverse lotus kick forward 3 into the 4 extension, which means that one of his strongest moves, forward 3, is back. Okay, and so now he's got his Panther stance back, and the important thing to note about here is that his Panther 1-2, which is launching here, is now actually, the Rage Drive version is a instant screw, so this makes turn his Panther low into a launcher, which is going to be very scary, because assuming he still has Panther 2, which is a mid launcher, he will be able to force a very scary 50-50 launch either way situation. He has his Crane stance still, and his Crane up forward 4 Rage Drive version, it seems like a way stronger version, which is nonetheless going to be mixed up with his Crane 4, which is also a very strong low. He's got his Snake stance and his Snake 1+2, which is very, very far knockback. I think I would compare it to probably Leo or Paul's Rage Drive, or Nina or Fang, where it just has this huge knockback, and it's going to wall splat for sure when it hits there. And also, I would imagine that Lei's Rage Drive here from Snake 1+2, might actually also give a lot of plus frames at the wall. It's interesting to note that Snake 1+2 was probably one of the less used moves from Snake stance, so this actually gave the move quite a bit of use, which is really good. Tiger 1 is also going to get changed to a Rage Drive, and it looks like it's going to cause a natural hit launcher. Previously, Tiger 1 only launched if it was a counter hit, and this is also going to make it extremely scary if Tiger 4 is back, and Tiger 4 was a very unseeable low launcher, so this is going to give him a 50-50 mid or low launch. And his Dragon forward 1+2 is now going to become a hard wall splat knockback, possibly plus frames if their back hits the wall, if they block it, move. And that's going to be really good. Now, the interesting thing about his Rage Drive, which it starts off with 3-4, by the way, the animation anyways, and then his unique toss-up animation, and then a bunch of drunken attacks, and then the spinning punch. I think his rage art looks actually super cool. It's a lot of unique animations. The cool thing about his rage art is that it actually switches sides. So if you rage art them and then your back is to the wall, you're gonna get their back to the wall, which is really good. Also, his fucking win animation is just simply amazing. So anyways, we're gonna go back here and we're gonna talk a little about Lei Wulong and what he is as a character. And if your Tekken 7 is your first Tekken, then you may not be familiar with Lei Wulong at all, what kind of playstyle, what kind of character he is, and if you'd be interested in playing him. So Lei Wulong is a character who's very old in Tekken. He's been in here since Tekken 2. And he's been in every Tekken since until Tekken 7 Season 1, and then now in Season 2 he's back. And then he is a very not-so-subtle Jackie Chan clone, where he fights using Five Tiger Animal-style Kung Fu, and also drunken boxing. Lei is probably one of the most mix-up intensive characters in the game. He has loads and loads of 50-50s, along with the most amount of stances in the game. So he is an incredibly knowledge-heavy character. He has a lot of moves, and a lot of stances. So there's a lot to remember about him. And if you're not gonna play with him, you're gonna learn to defend against him. He takes a lot of homework to understand how to defeat. Now he has 5 primary stances, and then there are some that I'm not actually sure were revealed in the game yet, so we don't know if he has all of his stances. For all I know, that he could have been simplified and some of his stances might have been taken away, but nonetheless, at least his 5 core ones are still in the game, and I still saw a couple of moves which are pretty vital to his gameplay, which are still in. Nonetheless, he is a hard-hitting character, but on the weak side, he has a little bit of a odd poking situation. His pokes have never been the best. He has good counter hit game, and he has really strong mix-up game, and he has good whiff punishment game. His block punishment also has never been one of the best. He's kind of like Steve, where he only really has jabs until 14. Which he gets 1+2, 1, but that might change in this game. He does have a 15-frame launcher. He has a down 4-2 and a hop kick. His wall standing punishment is very strong. He was unique in that he had one of the few who had a unique 10-frame wall standing punisher, which was wall standing 3, which did a lot of damage, but it was negative on hit. He also has a wall standing 4, and he should have at least a 16 or 15 frame launcher, which is wall standing 3+4. It depends on how much they change him, and we don't know everything just yet. But the pros of him is that he's very mix-up and tab heavy, so it's very easy to open up people with him. But he is a little bit his poke game is not really the best. He's pretty knowledge heavy, so playing him requires a little bit of specialization. And he kind of could clout your game with a lot of unnecessary moves and a lot of things that make you think about the character and not so much about the actual match, which can be distracting. He has really good whiff punishment with 4-4-3 and down 4-2, but his block punishment is not so great, at least for standing anyways. But other than that, he's pretty good. He's got good range overall. He's got good long and short range attacks. Actually, I guess his mid range isn't really the best, but nonetheless, he's overall a pretty strong character. At least he was in Tekken Tag 2. We'll only have to see how he is in this game. Now I'm going to go over a brief overview of his stances. So as soon as we get through here. Oh, by the way, his story is that he's a cop from Hong Kong, and he doesn't like Brian, and he doesn't like Feng, and he helps Lars, and he helps Asuka, and he helps Ling sometimes. And that's about it, really. So this first stance is Phoenix Illusion, which is a stance that you don't really see too much. From the string that Lei just did, he probably did full crouch down forward 2-1-4, which is a double low punch into a mid kick, which leaves him in this stance. Now in this stance, he can't really attack, but he does move back a bit, and he can't really block, sorry. He can attack, but he can't really block, so he's very vulnerable in this stance, but this stance has a couple really fast hit attacks in it that can easily clip someone coming in, such as, which is Phoenix Illusion 2, which is a move that is buffed because it was a knockdown and a counter hit launcher in Tag 2, but it was very hard to use this move in neutral because it was hard to stay in Phoenix Illusion and have someone come at you and then use, Phoenix Illusion to them. But this game, they buffed it so that even if they tried to interrupt you, you could still get a counter launch with the Power Crush version. Also, it looks like it could be a homing move too. Alright, so his down 4-2 is a very classic down 4-2. It's 15 frames and it's safe. I'm not too sure about the tracking or how it will be in this game, but it can go into snake stance if you hold forward. It is safe, and it is a pretty standard down 4-2, very similar to Loss. And it does a forward neutral 4-1, which leads into a bunch of different stance transitions. And it's also a counter hit confirm move. Very strong. I'll show it in a second. Forward 4-3 right there, that move he just did is actually one of his best whiff punishers. It's a very long range, I believe 17 frame whiff punisher launcher that is technically safe if he goes into back turn because he can sway away. You need a specific punish to punish it properly. All right, so now we've got Panther Stance. Now, Panther Stance is a very aggressive 50-50 stance. The two most notable things about it is Panther 1-2. It might be 2-1. I'm forgetting the input, but either way, it's either 1-2 or 2-1. Is a very, very unseeable knockdown low, very similar to a Hell Sweep. It does a fair amount of damage, and it tracks both ways, but it's really fast and you can't see it. This is launch punchable, of course, only, but it is mixed up usually with Panther 2, which is a launching mid that's only -10 and does a lot of damage. So this stance is entirely 50-50, but also the thing to know about Panther is that it's low profile by default. So Lei holding forward actually automatically parries lows, and he makes highs with, but he is vulnerable to mids. He cannot block mids. And then Crane Stance, as we have here, is mostly a wall mix-up stance. It's also kind of a bait stance as well. The unique thing about Crane is that if you low Crane, he will automatically hop kick as a response. It's not guaranteed, but it is something he will do as soon as a low connects on his hitbox while he's in Crane Stance. The two main things about Crane is that he has Crane 4, which is a launch punishable knockdown low. It's somewhat seeable, but it's a hard knockdown, so it leaves the opponent face down, feet away from the Lei. And he has two moves that are really good out of it, which is Crane 1, which is a wall splat mid that's kind of slow, but it's safe, and it leaves him in a back turn mix-up. It's actually kind of like plus-ish on block, but not 2+. And then he has Crane forward 1+2, or just 1+2. Might just play Crane 1+2, which is a double high strike, which is a crumple stun, very similar to Asuka's 1+2, which does a lot of damage and has a lot of range too. It's also safe. And here he's doing the Crane hop kick, which is something he will automatically do if he's hit by a low. You can do it manually with Crane up forward 4, but this is just the Rage Drive version, which looks like it does way more damage. And so this is Snake Stance, which is actually his primary poking stance. He has a lot of really strong pokes in this, like such as Snake 1-2-1, which leads into a Panther mix-up if you want. And he also has Snake 2-2-2-2, which is a natural hit, triple mid-low string that's all natural and does a lot of damage, but the last hit's not punishable. But you could stop at the mids to go into Dragon Stance. He also has a pretty good low out of this, Snake 4. So he has a lot of really safe moves from this stance, and it's very good at chipping away at your opponent. And this is Snake 1+2, which is a wall splat mid, which was previously, I believe, -11 or -10. You didn't really see it used too much, but in this game, they buffed it to a Rage Drive version, which is definitely going to be a lot more useful. This is Tiger Stance, which is one of his best stances. Tiger Stance is most notable for having a very, very fast, unseeable low launcher, which is Tiger 4. Tiger 4 also tracked really, really well. It's about 15 to 14 frames, and it is a low launcher, but it is launch punishable. To mix this up, he has 4 other mids from Tiger. Tiger 1, which is a safe force crouch plus frames mid, which is also a counter launcher. In this game, the Rage Drive version turns into a natural hit launcher, which is really scary. It's Tiger 2-1, which looks like in this game it's changed, which I'm not sure how it works, but it looks like it is a screw move. Might be mid-high or high-mid, I'm not sure. Then he has Tiger 3, which is an unsafe low crush, really fast mid kick that wall splats. Also can go into sitting Snake Stance, but it might not go into this game. And then he also has Snake 1+2. Tiger 1+2, which is a very slow and very short-ranged push, which does a lot of damage, like almost like death. Think of it basically as a death fist, and it gives a heavy pushback on hit. Not knockdown, it gives heavy pushback and lots of plus frames, but the pushback is so great that the plus frames don't really matter unless you're at the wall. And then he's got Dragon Stance, which is a very mix-up intensive stance where you get a lot of creative moves out of it. Dragon has a lot of different mix-up potential moves, not just necessarily 50-50s. He has Dragon 1, which is a throw, which can be cancelled. And he has Dragon 2, which is a counter hit launcher that's also plus on block. And just knockdown on hit. He has Dragon 4 +2, which is the Rage Drive version, which normally would just push back on hit and block 2, and it also can transition to Tiger Stance. Dragon 4 +2 is also a wall splat naturally, but in this game it looks like you do a Rage Drive version, just get a super hard wall splat, or maybe in plus frames. Dragon also has a low poke in it, Dragon 3, which is decent, and he has Dragon 4, which is his forward neutral 4-1-2 string. and then his rage art. Some of the stances that he's missing here is his drunken stance, which is what he's doing right here. His drunken stance is primarily a very creative but short range mix-up stance. It's primarily used at the wall. It has a very unique, very fast throw, his drunken 1+2 throw. It has a wall splat mid. It has a safe mid kick, which is also a launcher, but the combo is awkward. He has a plus frames high punch. And he has a sort of gimmicky low string, which only really works on counter hit. And he also is missing his play dead stances, which is his thing that he was using in the beginning of the intro. Let me get to Lei here. Right here. So this is his play dead stance, which is he has 4 forms of this, which are very evasive, low profile stances, which makes alt highs and some mids, depending on the mid's width. Very useful against certain characters, and these stances are usually 50-50s. They have mid or lows in them, which are usually very fast, and they're usually very poor on block, especially the lows, but they do almost all the lows either launch or knockdown, and all the mids are usually safe or give at least a knockdown. And he's also missing Sitting Snake, which is a variation of Play Dead, which only has 2 moves, and which is like a low that launches, is also launch punishable, and a mid wall splat. Slash knockdown. So overall, Lei is a very tricky character to learn. I'm not sure how they're gonna utilize the rest of his move list. Like I said, we've only seen so much of the character. We've seen the most biggest adaptations to his Tekken 7 game, which is of course the Rage Drives, which is unique that he has 5 of them. But we'll have to see the rest of his move list, because he's also missing Razor Rush, which is his primary way into stances, also one of his best counter hit tools. He's missing his, let's say, his up 4-3, which is a really great counter hit launcher tool. He's missing his 4-3-1, which is a really good, fast whiff punisher mid that does a lot. And a whole bunch of other moves that we haven't really showcased just yet. He has a lot of moves, like most moves in the game except for King because of throws. So he's definitely a very knowledge-intensive character, but in my opinion, he's extremely, extremely, extremely fun. So if you're looking for a very mix-up intensive character who is very, very difficult to defend against, then Lei Wulong is your guy. Also, I really like his outfit. But the unique thing about his outfit is that he actually doesn't have a phoenix motif on his back. He is blue-colored, which is his color of choice for sure. He's definitely, that's his color tone. But he's missing his phoenix, which is actually his iconic animal thing. Oh, actually, it might be on his back. It's interesting that he has a dragon on his back instead of a... Oh, there's a phoenix. Actually, there's the phoenix. So we're good. He has a phoenix. And I am very excited to play him, and I'm very, very happy that he's back. Welcome back, Lei. Welcome back.